Yeah.
ask that silly question. Some days when I hear that question, I say, what does that mean? But I ask myself that every day.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show.
Good morning to the Tiff and Tony Show, and thank you to our guest, Mr. Charles Antis of Antis Roofing. Charles, good morning. How are you?
Thank you. I am amazing, Tony. I'm super excited to be on your show.
Thank you very much indeed. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about what you do, Antis Roofing, what is it, and how did you get there?
Wow. I am the founder and CEO of Antis Roofing. Founder means I started the business, and that happened over 31 years ago. And I didn't have any plans of doing roofing. Roofing was not part of my childhood, but labor was. Yeah. Where I grew up, almost every man I knew worked with his hands, and I grew up in Oregon in a small town called Myrtle Creek. And I was born in 1962. So when I was young and like 1968, like 6 years old, I mean, this was the timber capital of the world. It was a strong blue collar environment, and literally every man I knew worked with his hands. But what got me to California was when I was 21, I was recruited to come and sell in Southern California. I looked for a job, and the only job I can see in that landscape was going up on a roof and roofing. And so I took that job. And it was tearing off roofs, and it was really hard work. But, toil. When I grew up, work was dangerous. Where I grew up, work was toil. You could get injured, and that was an easy thing for me to grab onto. But there was things I liked more. And the thing that I loved about roofing, Tony, was that I could solve problems. People say you need a new roof, but I go, well, wait a minute, it's leaking at the chimney. What if I just rebuilt the chimney? And so I became really good at solving leaks. I'm keeping the community safe and dry. I know that we can do that, and that's fulfillment at work. And that's what we say. We're 30 years keeping families safe and dry. That's why we exist. And that's something that's really important that I'll tell, all of your stakeholders and all your kids, all your youth, man, know why you exist. Ask that silly question. Some days when I hear that question, I say, what does that mean? But I ask myself that every day. Why am I here today? And because I do, you asked me how my day was. I missed the moment because my 6-year-old daughter and my 6-year-old her twin brother, Charlie and Gracie, this morning, they reminded me what they do every morning. They said, Dad, today's the best day ever. And, it's a mindset. Yeah. If you tell yourself it is, you open the possibility that it is. And I can't tell you how many times I actually have the best day ever with that mindset. So but we can do that if we curve our work and all of our intent into the path that we choose to be each day. Yeah.
Give me one of the challenges, unforeseen challenges that you saw starting this company up and starting your journey. Give me an example of a challenge that you saw and then had to overcome.
There's a lot of challenges when you start a business because, there's just so many things that you can't possibly know. Mm-hmm. But I think I really want to talk about, that emotional intelligent piece. What's emotional intelligence? It's and I'm going to give you a way to interpret emotional intelligence. It's the way you would have behaved on the earth 10,000 years ago when we all traveled around nomadically in tribes. Mm-hmm. That's emotional intelligence. So basically what emotional intelligence says is your instincts, your reactions, what you purchase, what you do, isn't so guided as much as you think it is by your cognitive brain, your intelligent brain. Well, I think this. It's literally driven by your fight to flight brain, your survival brain. And so I think that what I want to give myself is the chance to be emotionally intelligent. I want to give myself a chance to not take things personally and to understand why I feel that way. For example, one of the first things that you have when you start a business is you have to speak in front of people, you have to sell. And when you speak in front of people, you often feel like you're going to die. You feel like you can't breathe. You feel like your life is exposed. Like everything could be extinguished at this point and you don't know why. Well, let me tell you why that occurs. Because 10,000 years ago, when anyone raised his voice to speak to a group, It was a very, very ominous moment that could be a fight to the death right afterwards, because if you were loud, you could be challenged and you needed to fall in line. And so when you understand why that you get that way, then you can diffuse that by understanding why you get that way. You're basically empathizing with your emotional brain, because you have two brains in there. You've got the reptilian brain, and this is real simplified. I have friends, Ryan Gottfredson will tell me, well, he's not right, but he's kind of directionally right. But you have this reptilian brain that is that instinct brain, just like your dog has. And then you have this cognitive brain, and sometimes they have differences of opinion. And what I do, what I would love to have done earlier in my life is to tune in my reptilian brain, tune in and understand why I have these instincts, and then pacify myself. So, because by speaking is the only way we can communicate. So I had to learn that. And once you learn that, you can do exercises in your mind. Like if I was intimidated by you, whether I was attracted to you and that intimidated me, or I was intimidated by you because you scared me, because of this, what I understand, I know how to bridge that. I can imagine myself, Tony, and this is a tool that I'm going to give you, and it might sound silly. This works with you. It works with your mom. It works with anybody. I can imagine giving you a hug. Just imagine what it would feel like. Imagine your face against mine. Imagine what you might smell like, and then take that in, and then suddenly it diffuses this fear. And if you're speaking to a large group, do that with 2 or 3 people, maybe one you know, maybe one you don't know, especially if it's someone that's intimidating, like a big tall man with a beard or something, you know. Imagine giving that man a hug, or a woman that you feel it might scrutinize you, and that's not fair to say a woman or man, I'm just using examples. You then might you do that. Another tool that will help in that situation is to find. So there's people that our brains want to dislike. That's a bias. It's a fear. When we dislike anybody, it's a fear in ourselves. It's a bias built in by those that trained us, that raised us, whatever. Another way to diffuse that is to make sure that you find something that you like about everybody. And it's really easy to do. It doesn't have to be their voice or their what they're saying. It could be their hair. It could be their shoes. It could be the way they walk. It could be their laugh. It could be, but find something you genuinely like about anybody that would intimidate you, or because of liking or fearing. And then what it does is it builds this bridge of trust. And it basically diffuses the animal brain's reaction. And so just little tools like that, I wish I knew, because I like to say this, everybody thinks it works this way, but I'm really attracted to counterintuitive thought. And a lot of counterintuitive thought, the way things really happen, that ties into emotional intelligence. Another thing that I'll get into is understanding yourself. Emotional intelligence is one way to understand yourself. If you have access to an EQ test, which you can get really inexpensively, take it. It'll be interesting. You'll hear more of the science behind what I said, and it'll probably make more sense. There's one more tool I'll give somebody as far as finding yourself, and that is journaling. In fact, anybody listening, if you come to my office, I will give you one of these in Spanish or in English. I have a bunch of them, boxes of them. I've given away 1,000 of these books, and the reason I give it away is it helps you be who you are, and there's no rules to it. All you do is answer 3 questions every morning and spend 5 minutes doing it. And the 3 questions are, what are you grateful for? That's, any of us who have done a gratitude list can tell you it worked for us. For some reason, we don't always do it. We get busy. Just like meditation this morning, I didn't do it. I know it. I'll put it off for 10 minutes. It's only 10 minutes long. I didn't do it. The next is 3 things that would make the day great. And this right here is magic land. I don't know why, but whenever I write in those, comes to pass. But it's me. It's what I want to do. Like today, I said I want to awaken. I don't want to I want to remember that this is the best day ever. And I want to awaken other people. I want to lift everybody I touch, and wakes and ripples that last forever. If you write that down, it happens. If I write down that I want to provide this to my team, if I want to do this to my kids, there's something about writing it down. Thoughts written down becomes actions, become things that are done. If you don't imagine it, if you don't think it, if you don't work toward it, if you don't write it down, it doesn't happen. It's the weirdest thing. It's so simple, but it is that simple. And then the I ams. at the end, a couple I ams. I am, and this morning I said I am a master storyteller. I knew I was going to be telling stories today, so I need to remind myself of that. And I got to tell you, I started writing that in my book some days about 4 years ago, and nobody knew who I was then. So I projected that because it was a good desire with good intent. My intent was not to be famous. My intent was to create impact. And so another thing that I wish I knew back then when I started my business is I wanted to grow for growth's sake. I've had some very painful years growing and selling and things I couldn't deliver. But today, I don't chase growth, I chase impact. And the result is amazing, what it does for people, what it does for communities, what it does for trade associations. When you chase impact, you can lift people forever. And I'm able to truly have that wakes and ripples that last forever. And when I say wakes, I mean not a wave, I mean a wake, like boom.
Yeah.
That's what impact feels like. And when you start doing it, it's a beautiful thing.
Charles, you've been great. I'll ask you one last question, and this is more of a challenge to your sphere of influence. Is there someone else that you think should be on this show that could share their wisdom?
Oh yeah, lots of people. I right away I think of Wing Lam because I spend so much time with him, and Wing is a person that loves to say yes, like me. So and he plays to the greater good, and that's what I say. I don't play. You see me. I don't spend a ton of time selling roofs. I know, I understand I need roofs, but I do way better playing to the bigger gains for everyone around me. So I play the long game on it all, and Wing does the same thing. And if kids are involved, kids will be helped. Okay. Yeah, I guarantee you he'll say yes as well.
Okay. I will, I'll definitely reach out. You have become a champion of change. And I know that's part of your DNA and what you do on an everyday basis. So again, thank you for all you do in the philanthropic community, helping people out.
Well, thanks, Tony. And thanks for everything that you do. It's amazing. I love hearing about your organization and that you are in so many schools that I get to go participate with as well. So we'll be crossing paths again soon, I'm sure.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us in this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. We hope you feel encouraged and motivated to keep growing with us. If you like what we do here at Pure Game, one of the best ways you can support us is by liking and sharing this video with your friends on social media. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel using the button directly below this video on YouTube, and you can donate at our website, www.thepuregame.org. And with that, we'll see you right back here next week.